Welcome to the Big Time Strength Podcast, featuring small school strength coaches producing big time results. On behalf of myself, Coach Gage Rozier, and co-host Coach Preston Peterson, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to today's show. Before we get to today's episode, I'd like to recognize our amazing sponsors who allow us to bring this podcast to you for free. Our first sponsor is TeamBuildr. TeamBuildr is the leading software for high schools and colleges by providing coaches the ability to write programs online, generate over 13 reports, and even train athletes remotely for side income. Right now, if you sign up with code BIGTIME, you will receive a free APRE programming template, which works automatically within TeamBuildr. No more spreadsheets and workout cards to track training maxes that change day by day. Automate your programming without outsourcing your programming with TeamBuildr. Thank you to Hewitt and staff at TeamBuildr for their continued support. They do an amazing job. Our second sponsor is Optimum Nutrition Athletics. Athletes train hard to play at the highest level, and all that hard work raises the bar on muscle recovery. Optimum Nutrition's athletics program has industry-leading products that can help. Protein is key to muscle recovery, and Gold Standard 100% Whey, the world's best-selling whey protein powder, provides 24 grams of protein that mixes easily just using a spoon and a glass. Gold Standard 100% Whey is made in Optimum Nutrition's state-of-the-art facilities in Aurora, Illinois, and is banned substance tested by Informed Choice. Through Optimum Nutrition's athletic program, you can also get Pro Gainer for big athletes looking to become even bigger, and ready-to-eat protein snacks including Protein Crisp bars, cake bites, wafers, and almonds. After dominating the sports nutrition industry for over 30 years, newly created Optimum Nutrition Athletics brings that same trust and quality that knows how to put convenient options for protein in the hands of athletes who desire to become bigger, stronger, and better at their sport. If you'd like more information and free samples, email Derek Walters, Director of Optimum Nutrition Athletics, whose email and contact information you can find in the show notes. Once again, thank you so much to our amazing sponsors for their continued support. Now, let's get to today's episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Big Time Strength Podcast. Today, I am talking to Coach Jeremy Evans. And Coach Evans, he has a lot of experience coming from Alabama, then some parts of Florida, then to Texas, and back in Florida. And I'm excited to listen to him and get to learn from him. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk about Reps for Riley and crushing cancer and just keep on doing everything that we can to just get the word out there, to help Riley out, to spread awareness of leukemia and to also just support people that are going through crap. And Riley is an awesome kid. He's going to be an amazing strength coach someday. And right now, the last thing that I heard from Gage is he's doing well. He's fighting hard. He's looking at hopefully in the near future being able to go on to the next treatment that they think will help him out a lot. And so we're just excited for him. If you want to know more about crushing cancer, go to crushcancer.com and check out the ebook that so many coaches have contributed to. Just these workouts that are daily workouts. And right now, I think they're in the 20s right now of the daily workouts. And those daily workouts, and then at the end of the ebook is also a program put in there by Brett Bartholomew, kind of a bonus one, where it's like 3 cycles in there. It's just some really cool stuff. And I just want you guys to check into that. Keep on thinking about Riley, praying for that dude and helping him to fight against this nasty disease. And then one more thing before we get rolling is just a shout out to Gage and everything that he's doing and juggling right now. Gage works hard with William Jewell athletes in Kansas City, Missouri, and just everything that he's doing for his athletes. On top of that, making sure that he's an awesome husband and dad at home, and then really looking out for his cousin. Just talking about a big-time family man. And I'm just glad to be able to co-host this show with him. This episode is going to be pretty cool because Coach Evans has a ton of experience coming from multiple schools around the South and just being able to take all those experiences and roll it into a big-time experience for his high school athletes in West Palm, Florida is a pretty cool deal. So, Coach Evans, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on. Can you give us a little bit of your background and where you're at now?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. This is a huge honor. I've listened to a lot of your episodes with a lot of my friends, and Garrett Keith and John Garish and Mark Hoover and all those guys. This has been an awesome podcast to listen to and try to get better. So I'm from Mobile, Alabama originally, born and raised. Ended up at the University of South Alabama for college. While I'm going to school there, exercise science degree, kind of going back and forth between that and physical education, want to be some kind of coach, but also think about going to physical therapy school So somewhere around my sophomore, junior year area, University of South Alabama decided to add Division I football for the first time in school history. So kind of a big deal, being born and raised in that town. And I had people call me, like my parents call me, and people call me and say, "Hey, did you hear the news?" and all this. So kind of exciting times. Actually thought about trying to play football there, but it was, I think I was a sophomore or junior, so I was a little out of shape and not really wanting to do that anymore. And so they hired the first coach ever in school history. Joey Jones played for Barry Bryant, Alabama, so another big deal. People call me and text me and say, "Hey, did you hear this?" And so I really wanted to be involved. Things started rolling. I saw the new facility being built, new practice fields being laid down and turf, and kind of wanted to be involved. So one day I just went down to Joey Jones' office, the head football coach, and I was like, "Hey, I'm from Mobile. I played high school football, ran track, did all these things. Is there a way that I can help? Is there a way I can be involved?" And so we talked for a few minutes. Back then, I was a bigger guy, had some muscle. Now, not so much. And so he looked at me and said, "Look, you like to work out?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like to train. I mean, I do some personal training on the side, things like that to make a little extra money. But yeah, I do like to lift." I had no idea where he was going with this conversation, and so I just hired a full-time strength coach for the first time in South Alabama's history. He's come from Mississippi State. I think you should go sit in his office and talk with him. So he sends me over there, and this big building that's being built is going to be the future weight room. And I sit down and talk to Justin Schwind, who's the head strength coach at the time, and we talked for a while. And football was just getting started. He said he could use my help. That I had a lot to learn, but to be able to coach guys. But he could use my help if I wanted to be there, and I wanted to sacrifice my time and my freedom to be there at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and work around my class schedule and be there as much as I could and things like that. So got involved with that. Really cool situation. I saw a lot of walk-ons turn into grown football men. Guys walking in from high school that were squatting 315 pounds, and all of a sudden they're squatting 500 pounds. I mean, we had a couple guys squat 750 pounds. We had a few guys cleaning 405. We had guys benching over 500 pounds. Pretty cool situation to see a bunch of walk-ons and a bunch of transfers come in. And we went through our first season, never lost a game. Went to our second season, never lost a game. I don't know if it's ever happened in NCAA history. So 2 seasons in a row, never losing a game. I think I was the only intern to actually get a ring from undefeated season the second year because I put so many hours in, and our strength coach felt like I deserved one and went to bat for me and got me one. It's a pretty cool situation. Towards the end of my senior year, I started taking over other sports as well. So the strength coach had enough confidence and faith in me to start giving me the track throwers, the golf team, things like that. So I'm an intern training my own sports, which is pretty neat. I was an intern kind of being in control of the other interns, letting them know like what the routine was, how we make protein shakes, how we do this, how do we set up, how do we clean up. So he started making phone calls for me towards the end of my senior year to try to secure me a GA spot. I didn't even know what a GA spot was. I mean, just 2 years previously, I didn't even know what a strength coach was. But as soon as I found out what it was, I thought that was a pretty awesome job to have, and you could kind of spend your whole time in the weight room and develop an athlete. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So kind of fell into that, watched a bunch of walk-ons turn into real football players and win a lot of games. So he started telling me I needed to get a GA spot. I needed to go get a master's degree and have somebody else pay for it and me work on the weight room. So at the time, me and my girlfriend had been dating for a while. We met in high school. We were going to South Alabama together. And because he told me to be ready to move anywhere in the country to take a GA spot, I proposed to her my senior year to make sure that she was going to go with me. And I didn't want to lose her, so proposed to her. So we actually ended up graduating one Saturday with our undergrad, getting married the next Saturday, going out to California for a week for a honeymoon, and then coming home and going through the different GA spots that I had opportunity to take. And got offered a GA spot at the University of West Florida, which is only an hour away from Mobile in Pensacola, Florida. Jumped on it. It's close to home. We're newlyweds. We don't really know anything about moving around the country and all those things. So jumped on it, took off over there, and was, again, extremely blessed to be the head strength coach there, Kent Morgan, who's one of the best in the country still to this day. They've added football since then, and I think in their second season just went to the national championship for Division II football. Incredible program, incredible strength coach. Got to spend 2 years with him before football, so worked with baseball, basketball, volleyball, softball. He actually put me in charge of both basketball teams when I first got there, and then I would work with tennis and golf and all those different sports. So incredible 2 years without football, just to really get down and do staff education and read articles together and watch videos together and do all that. And really, that 2 years kind of changed everything for me. From there, I kept telling him that I wanted to be at a high school. I think I wanted to do the high school route, that I think I could make a bigger impact. So between him and Justin Schwind and South Alabama, I ended up in Texas, a little school outside of San Antonio for a year. Not a great situation. I think we won one game my first year there. Football coach, I think, had been given 3 years to kind of turn the program around. Nothing was really getting turned around. After 1 year, he got fired. Things were kind of shaky. Sound like the athletic director was going to get fired as well, and they were going to bring in a new football coach and make him the AD and football coach. And things were kind of shaky. A lot of opportunity for him to come in and fire everybody. So I started looking around other high schools in Texas and other areas, and ended up realizing that there was an open position at EXOS in Pensacola, Florida, where me and my wife had lived for 2 years. My daughter was born in Pensacola when I was a GA at West Florida, so it felt like home to us, really close to family again, instead of San Antonio, which is very far away. Did everything I could to try to get that job. I think like 300 people applied for that job at EXOS, an incredible company to work for. Head strength coach at University of West Florida, knew a couple of guys there. We had been over there to visit a couple of times when I was at University of West Florida to do some staff education, so I knew a few guys and made some phone calls. He made some phone calls for me. Ended up at EXOS in Pensacola, Florida, which is an incredible company to work for. They got locations all around the world now. So spent 3 years there working with NFL players, MLB players, NBA players, Special Forces soldiers. I was in charge of the high school/middle school group every day. I was the intern coordinator, so I was in charge of developing all the interns that we had. We had 6, 7, 8 interns a semester. I helped out NFL Combine, so you see guys like Todd Gurley and those type of guys, Byron Jones, who broke the broad jump record and all those things. I trained a lot of those guys, helped train a lot of those guys for the Combine program for EXOS. After a couple of years, it was an incredible experience. I learned a ton. We had, I think, 4 strength/speed coaches on staff. We had 2 athletic trainers. We had a full-time physical therapist. We had 2 full-time dietitians. We had a chef on staff with a restaurant on staff. We had cold tubs, hot tubs, Normatex. I mean, we had a turf outside the weight room. We had a HydroWorks pool, which is a pool with a treadmill inside of it. It has video cameras set up where you could see, you could test gait for ACL injuries, things like that. I mean, all kind of crazy stuff. Incredible experience for 3 years, just getting to learn something new every single day. Tons of staff education, tons of intern education. We had to teach them, which makes you learn even more. But after a few years, it kind of started getting a little monotonous, a little bit like, hey, I got into this profession to make an impact. I don't know that I have a huge impact right now. I think I've learned a ton. I think I've been impacted a lot. But when you're working with that caliber athlete, like the top 1% in the world, whether it be Special Forces, NFL, NBA, you just don't really feel like you're making an impact the way you want to. So kind of started talking to some mentors like, Kent Morgan, University of West Florida, Justin Schwind, University of South Alabama, and just say, I think I want to go back to the high school route one day, eventually, when we feel comfortable moving again and all those things. And so I think about 6 months went by. The head strength coach at University of West Florida called me up and was like, hey, man, I don't know if you're ready to move or if this is something you'd be interested in, but one of my really good friends is the head football coach down at the Kings Academy in West Palm Beach, Florida. Great private Christian school. I think it costs like $20,000 a year to go there. And, your daughter just turned 5. This is 2 summers ago. So she would go to kindergarten on the same campus you're at, the K through 12 or pre-K through 12 for free. You wouldn't pay anything. And so I'm like, well, that sounds pretty cool. And they were building a brand new weight room at the time. So you walk into a brand new weight room, you train all the athletes all day. Football team right now is undefeated. They went through a whole season previous to when I got here and were undefeated. So really good situation. He told me the head football coach was an incredible guy, has adopted a couple kids, incredible Christian man. So I was like, hey, I'd be interested in learning about it. I don't know if I would ever leave EXOS, but it's just kind of one of those fantasies. Like I want to go back to the high school route one day, but didn't know if I'd actually do it. And so he called me up, football coach, and we talked, had a great conversation. Athletic director called me up. We had a great conversation, just great Christian men that wanted to know my testimony, wanted to know that I was a Christian. But before they asked any X's and O's about strength and conditioning, it was all about, we want to know that you're a good dude. We want to know that you're a good man, that you have a Christian background, that you are a Christian before we even get further into this process. So I thought that was really interesting. The only job interview I've ever had like that. My wife was 9 months pregnant at the time. My daughter had just turned 5. I was looking for a way for my wife to be able to stay home with my son for like the first year, like she did with my daughter when I was a GA at West Florida. And so I was like, hey man, if everything works out and my wife can stay home for the first year, my daughter be on campus with me, and I walk into a brand new weight room and I'm working with athletes all day, it sounds like an incredible opportunity. So jumped on it, and my son was we interviewed in June. My son was due any day, so I said, see you guys in July. So my son was born. We moved down when he was like 3 weeks old, and been here ever since. So I'm the director of sports performance at the Kings Academy in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm in my third school year now. And I have 5 weight training classes during the day, roughly 30 kids in each class, just boys only. So I'm training right around 140, 150 boys a day just during my weight training classes, not including after school. We also have a full-time female certified strength coach as well. So she's got 2 female classes, and those are during my planning period, so I can help out with her too. So I can even train more athletes, and then after school, we work together and train, entire teams. So whole cross-country team right now comes in after school Tuesdays and Thursdays. The whole swim team comes in Tuesday, Thursday. There's a lot of co-ed sports, so me and her train those sports together. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have all our all-season kids come in that aren't in weight training, which is a lot of co-ed, baseball, softball, basketball, girls basketball. Will come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so we'll train them together as well.
Coach, you said you wanted to make a career switch a little bit. You wanted to go to high school. And you thought maybe you could make a bigger impact maybe than what you were at another spot. Tell me what that was like, what you mean by making an impact and how you're seeing that through where you're at now.
Nobody gets into the coaching profession to kind of work the 8 to 5 regular job, and that's kind of after a couple of years kind of what I felt. Even though EXOS is an incredible company, incredible place to work, they take care of their employees. I mean, I can't say enough good things, but you're just not in that team environment. You don't see the wins and losses. You're not part of a football team or a baseball team or a basketball team. You don't see the successes and the failures. Just that 1 year I spent in Texas, I still kept in touch with those kids. I still had some of those kids text me and be like, hey, man, you made an impact in my life. I'm going to college now because of some of the things you taught me. Because the high school I was at and outside of San Antonio was a rough situation. It wasn't a kind of a poor high school. And a lot of those kids weren't going to college, and so I was trying to instill in them some different things. And a lot of those kids reached out to me. I mean, I've been at EXOS for 2 years, and I still had kids reaching out to me from Texas, telling me things that I taught them and their work ethic and things like that, and to never give up and things. So, I'm working a job where I'm starting to, after a couple of years, start to feel like I don't have a huge impact. I'm still getting reached out by high school kids that I've taught, that I coached 2 years of previously, and getting friend requests on Facebook and things. So it's pretty neat. So I just kind of miss that team atmosphere, that everlasting impact that you can have, and so I kind of got that itch and just kind of started focusing on mentors. And so that's one of the things when I got here and when I moved my whole family, again, 10 hours away from our parents. Me and my wife are both from Mobile, and so San Antonio was really far away. EXOS was awesome because it was close to home. Now we're debating. My wife's 9 months pregnant. We're debating picking up and moving away again, and so it wasn't something I took lightly. It wasn't something I didn't pray about crazily. And it's not something I take lightly any day. So when I'm here, I think about those decisions that we made to come here, and I'm like, I cannot waste a day. I will make a huge impact here, no matter what. And I could have stayed at EXOS forever, and we could have stayed in Pensacola forever, and we decided to pick up and come. And a lot of that decision was me feeling like I can make a bigger impact. My wife was like, hey, if this is going to make you happy, let's do it. And so I don't waste a day. I don't take those things lightly, and I try to make an impact every single day on somebody.
That's awesome. No, I like that. And I like that you've got that why behind it. And I love that your wife's behind what you want to do too. That's an awesome structure for your family and the crazy start to your son's life there, huh? Moving 3 weeks old.
Yeah. So he just turned 2 in June, and we moved down in July 2 years ago. So that was an interesting move, big U-Haul full of stuff with a 3-week-old and having to stop at a hotel and that was something that I'll never do again.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. So I kind of want to hear about, you talked about getting back into the team atmosphere, and I know what you're saying. That's one of the things that I love is just being a part of those teams and seeing those teams have success together or have to struggle through adversity. What are some ways in the weight room that you're building that team up or developing those leaders for the team? And what's it look like when you are, starting out the semester here also, we're right here at the beginning of the year. What's it look like for you to do those things?
I would say the biggest impact that I have as far as team building type things go is I'm a big competition guy. We did huge competitions at South Alabama. So at South Alabama, we would pick 10 captains right when the spring football ended. We would have this huge NFL draft. It became a big deal at South Alabama where we get only the 10 captains that were elected by the strength and conditioning staff and a few of the football coaches would get into the team room, and nobody else was allowed in. The windows were covered up. You couldn't see anything. And every single player on the football team, there's like 120 guys, were on the board except for the captains. And we did like coin toss. I mean, it was like a real official, like big deal. And so they got, first pick, second pick, third pick, fourth pick, and they actually did like a real like NFL draft type situation. And that was your team for the rest of the off season. And so we had all these competitions we did in the summer. So I've carried that everywhere I went. So the biggest thing I think I have here is the summertime. I have 2 hours of football every day. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Most weeks I try to give them Wednesdays off, and football coach will do a few things with them, unless there's something, like July 4th comes up or something like that. But so at the end of spring football, the last practice, I meet with the football coaches throughout spring and start deciding who our captains will be. And most of that is my decision because I've seen them in the weight room every single day at that point for a long time. But I do want to get some of the football coaches' feedback, especially our head coach, of who he thinks he's going to be able to rely on next year. So we picked 4 captains here at TKA at the end of spring football the last 2 years in a row. The last practice of spring before our spring game, they stay after practice for about a good 30, 45 minutes. We do a team NFL draft type situation. We do pick your number out of a hat. They reach into a hat, pick a number. They got first pick, second pick, third pick, fourth pick. We go through the whole team, pick teams, and that's their competition teams for the whole summer. So every single day during the summertime, if a guy shows up late, we all do up downs, but he also costs his team 5 points. If a guy misses the workout and hasn't reached out to me, hasn't reached out to the head football coach to tell him he's got like a football camp or something crazy comes up, he missed 10 points for his whole team. He's minus 10 for his whole team that day. So you'll have kids go on vacation and miss the whole week and miss 40 points for the team that week. If a kid wears like the wrong T-shirt, like he wears like a Miami Hurricane shirt or Miami Dolphins shirt, something like that, because we're close to Miami, it's minus 5 for his whole team. If a kid says a cuss word and I hear something in the weight room or something outside, I hear a cuss word, we're all doing up downs together until I figure out who said it, and then that kid lost 5 points for his team. Sometimes they try to blurt out who said it immediately, and we still do up downs. We'll still get about 10 up downs in before I mark off points for his team. And then every Friday morning we come in, so we do speed work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday for about 45 minutes before we go to the weight room. Fridays we warm up and we do some kind of competition, so they never know what it's going to be. They walk in on Friday mornings, we start warming up, they look around, they may see 500-pound tires laid out in the field, they may see a tug-of-war rope in the sand pit, they may see sleds laid out, we're fixing to do a sled push relay race, they may see med balls laid out, maybe some kind of med ball relay race, so they never know what it's going to be. We do a huge competition every Friday morning during the summertime, and those points, the first place team gets 100 points, second place team gets 50, third place team gets 25, and the last place team gets 0. So a lot of the teamwork, a lot of the competition, a lot of the leaders stepping up and calling people out for missing workouts or showing up late or wearing the wrong gear, and all those things kind of happen in the summer with football. And then during the school year is tough. My weight training classes are a mixed variety of kids. You got everybody from the senior linebacker that squats 405 in a class with 2 sophomore swimmers, with a freshman cross-country kid, with a international student from China who's never lived in his life and barely speaks English, to your non-athlete fine arts kid that's in the plays, all in one class every single period. So to be completely honest with you, I don't know that I do a great job of team building type stuff during the school year.
That's one of the things that I struggle with sometimes too, Coach, is it's all over the board. We split up into freshmen and sophomores, but we're co-ed. So we go freshmen and sophomores together, juniors, seniors together, and we're co-ed, but it could be anybody. So like during the fall here, we have like 4 different groups. We'll have cross country, football, volleyball, and out of season, right? And then you still have some kids that are doing like fall soccer, AAU stuff, and other things going on. And, there's just a lot of things going on to be able to organize people in the groupings that you need for those. But man, I tell you what, sometimes like on our speed days, especially, kids like competing, in different ways. It's just not recorded the same way that you're doing it. I love what you're doing there. That's something that we did when we were in college too. And just people get after it, right? Like it's fun.
Oh yeah.
And we would do that when I was a graduate assistant. I worked with the baseball team and we set it up for the fall. And so we'd have like a competition week at the end of fall ball, and just kids getting after it, people having fun. And it's just, I think it is a really good opportunity, like you said, for the players to step up and be those leaders, and hold their teammates accountable to the rules or the expectations. So I love that stuff, Coach. That's great. So what are some of the things that, like are your programming methodologies or the things that you structure your program around? So you've talked a little bit about leadership and you've talked about, some of the experiences that you've had. What's it look like to get the athletes in your weight room, and then all the stuff that you've learned to this point? How do you implement that? How do you choose what is best with the time that you have during the school year or whenever your training sessions are?
It depends on what time of year we're in. We're in the fall right now. So again, with the amount of movement-based stuff that I've learned at EXOS, the speed, the linear speed, the lateral speed, the multi-direction, I'm definitely going to be mixing that in, because I think if there's any way I can give my kids an advantage over another team, over one of our rivals, I'm going to do it. And I don't think, especially down in South Florida, a ton of strength coaches. There's not a ton of full-time strength coaches that are certified to begin with. There's definitely not a ton of strength coaches that know any kind of speed development stuff, so I like to spend a lot of time outside, to be honest with you. I know a lot of strength coaches are kind of nervous to go outside and do speed work because they don't know how to teach it very well, and we always shy away from things that we don't really know how to teach very well. So if I don't know how to teach it clean very well, I'll kind of shy away from it. Maybe I'm not a big clean guy because I don't know how to teach it very well. We spend a lot of time outside. We spend a lot of time on the basketball court if we can't go outside because it's too hot or it's raining. But right now we lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's more of a total body type lift, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday being more of a lower body focus because football plays on Friday, so I'll get their big clean squat day in on Monday. Wednesday being a big upper body focused, that's our big bench press day, our dumbbell row day, our pull up day. Again, football has games on Friday. They won't really be sore from the upper body day on Wednesday. If they are, it doesn't really matter that much. It's just a little bit of technical soreness, a little bit. If they're even sore, but at that point they shouldn't be. They've been with me for 2 hours all summer long, every day. And then Fridays is our big lower body pull type day. So if we squatted on Monday, that's our RDL day, our deadlift day, things like that. The football guys foam roll, stretch, do some things that I ask them to do during class on Friday, and then they do the same lift on Saturdays. So our football coach has those guys come in, watch film, and do a light lift, some mobility, stability type stuff on Saturdays. So they'll sit out on Friday. They'll warm up with us. They'll get dressed out. They'll warm up. They'll foam roll, stretch. They do some exercise I ask them to do. So they get like a light lift in, but it's not much. And then Tuesday, Thursday, we do linear speed on Tuesdays, lateral speed on Thursdays, or multi-directional speed on Thursdays. Linear speed on Tuesdays, more focused on acceleration. So all of our marching, skipping, anything acceleration focused will be on Tuesdays. Thursdays, more of a lateral focus, working on shuffle. And then sometimes we'll switch up and go multi-directional, working on like a crossover, change direction type day. So I would say I have a huge movement focus. We do sprinkle a lot of speed work in. We sprinkle a lot of character building type things in. I'm one of those guys, like I'm at a private Christian school, I take advantage of it. We sprinkle in a lot of Bible verses. We sprinkle in a little bit of Bible study. We sprinkle in a lot of character development stuff. I'm very, very blessed to be at a school where the main focus is the main focus. If anybody walked into my weight room, whether it be my head football coach, whether it be our president of our school, whether it be my athletic director, and I'm sitting out talking to the guys about a Bible verse or about humility or about integrity or about anything like that, they're never going to walk in and be like, hey, why aren't you guys listening? This is weight training. So I've got a pretty blessed situation. So I think I sprinkle a lot of stuff in, but I've got to the point now where I'm more worried about developing these young men, as good men, than I am the X's and O's. The X's and O's, everybody does different things. One guy's a 5'1" guy, one guy's a tier system guy. It's all the same stuff, honestly, and everybody does things a little bit differently. And you may think one guy is not very good in the weight room, and all of a sudden they win a state championship, and you think one guy is really, really good, and then they win 2 games the whole year. So everybody does things differently, and I've kind of, not that I've gotten away from the X's and O's, but that's not as important to me anymore with the culture that we live in, the world we live in being a pretty scary place than it is developing good men.
Yeah, man, as we're recording it, on September 12th, yesterday being September 11th, that's exactly what comes to mind when I think about that stuff is just the people that are going to go out into our world. The high school athletes that are going to work, right? What type of citizens do we want them to be? What type of, husbands and mothers and brothers and sisters and all that? What are we going to do in that way? And that's why I like so much when you talked about just leaving an impact and like at your school where you get to freely and openly talk about impacting for Jesus. That's great stuff, man. And I think the cool thing is when you have administration and everybody supports you and backs you up in that way. I mean, it truly makes you freely feel like you can do what you need to do to the best of your ability in the way that you see fit. That autonomy is priceless, man. That's great. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is just like, what are you doing and what are you excited about learning and improving on? There's so much that you say, X's and O's are, there's everybody does a little bit different, but it's generally the same stuff. You talk about movement and you talk about character building. So what's the next thing for you that you're just like, all right, this is where I'm going to put my focus?
I'm really starting to get interested in, I don't know if it was your podcast where you had Mark Hoover on, or maybe he was on a different podcast where he started talking about all the velocity-based training.
Yeah, he got me hooked too.
Yeah, I'm really starting to get a little interested in that. I talked to him a lot this summer. Almost purchased the collars that he has, but I don't think their Android app is quite developed. I got Team Builder in my room, so we have two flat screen TVs. I've got tablets mounted to every rack, but I'm a big Samsung guy. I don't really care for Apple. I don't know why. I just never got into the iPhones and all that. So I've got Samsung tablets all to my room, and I don't think that their Android app was quite ready yet. So almost just dove right over, and just started buying all the stuff that Mark Hoover was talking about. So I'm interested in learning more about those. I mean, I've heard a lot about velocity-based training. Obviously, at EXOS we did some stuff, and at University of West Florida we had Tendo units. So I've got some ideas, but I'll definitely have a long ways to go when it comes to what speeds you should be hitting on certain lifts, and definitely want us to learn more about that. And I kind of got this little itch to start learning more about this RPR stuff that's going on. I don't know if you've heard of that or not.
Yep. Reflexive performance reset.
Yeah. That's how it is. I was about to say restorative, but yeah, reflexive is what it is. I've started watching a few videos on that. Thinking about trying to host a clinic down here in South Florida pretty soon to learn more about that. I'm not too don't exactly know how it works yet. I'm just now diving into it, but I'm pretty excited about those two things.
I'm pretty sure it's magic is what I say. So
yeah, first couple of videos I just watched, I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. No, interesting stuff, man. I went to a clinic here in it was a Southeast Iowa clinic, and I listened to it's Coach Brad Dixon, and he's a football coach in Illinois, but he does a great job of implementing. I think he does some of the strength stuff too, and they do RPR. And I was kind of skeptical, and then he brought up he must have been like a 60-year-old, 65-year-old coach, and kind of worked him over a little bit. And the guy said he felt like 10 years younger when he stood up. So I mean, like it's for me, like if that gives our athletes an edge, if there's something that like if it's for real, if they feel like they are activated and whatever the idea is behind it, man, go for it. And I want to learn about it too. Just haven't found a spot that I can take the class or the course or whatever it is. But interesting stuff for sure. So yeah. If you're going to host one down in Florida, you think you could set me up with a place to stay too? That might be a nice little professional development.
I'm sitting in my guest room right now where my makeshift office is, where all my books and all my Bible study stuff is. So you got a room right here.
All right, man. That sounds good. I'll just have to convince my wife and maybe administration. We'll see what we'll do. Coach, what's something that you're using for you're just like your favorite resources and tools and systems that you use just to optimize training, maybe within the weight room, or how you program, or you just set up things so that you feel organized and you're ready to roll for the week, the month, the semester, whatever it is that you're working on.
Team Builder has been a game changer for me, man. As soon as I got down here at TKA, I heard about it a couple of times, but at EXOS, we didn't really need any of that stuff. It was, we didn't have huge groups of athletes that were doing multiple different workouts, so we never really looked into it. So I got down here, and my athletic director had mentioned it. My athletic director is an incredible Christian man that has a good idea of what a strength coach is, knew exactly what he was looking for. knows a lot of good strength coaches like Michael Kurtz. Michael Kurtz talk a lot, so he knows his stuff. And he actually mentioned Team Builder to me, and I started looking into it. And he said, "Hey man, if you look into it and you like it, I'll purchase it." And so when they built a new weight room, we already had the TVs mounted, but they didn't really know why they were mounted. There was just 2 flat screen TVs in the weight room. I walked in day one, and so I started looking at Team Builder, and man, it has been a game changer. Especially being at the high school in Texas, I was at for a year, like printing out all those Excel documents and trying to keep up with everybody's maxes and all these things, and Team Builder just does it all for you. So again, we've got tablets all through the weight room mounted to the racks. We got flat screen TVs, and I can open my laptop at home and build programs on a Sunday evening for weeks and weeks ahead of time, and in a matter of minutes. And so you can have multiple workouts going on at one time. You could have, if you wanted to do, your freshmen and your sophomores on like a level 1, and your juniors on a level 2, and your seniors on a level 3. You could have 3 different workouts going on at one time, because when they open that tablet and clicks on their name, their workout pulls right up. It doesn't have to be the workout that's on the TVs, and maybe slightly different. So you can have a lot of different things going on without athletes ever coming to ask you what they're doing differently. Hey, I'm a baseball pitcher. What am I doing differently than these guys? It's already right there for, hey, man, instead of squat, you're doing trap bar deadlift today. Instead of bench press, you're doing dumbbell bench. Whatever it is already there for them. And to be able to plan workouts ahead of time for 3 or 4 different levels or however you want to set your weight room up way ahead of time is pretty amazing. And then to be able to go in and change each guy if you wanted to. So one guy, you got to set up a trap bar deadlift, and he's a level 2. You could sneak in his own program and change that one lift to something else, and it just changed his calendar only. So it's pretty cool. And then it tracks progress for a long period of time. So every single time the guys type their weights in, it tracks all that. So you could print out charts and graphs showing where they were in August when we started school, where they are now in December. So it's pretty awesome. It's been a game changer. And then as far as resources, just listen to podcasts, reading books. I love to read. I love blogs, Eric Cressy's blog, Michael Boyle's blog, and then all the different podcasts they have out there, and then all the different books you can read. So as far as resources, those are the things I go to.
Well, Coach, you've already plugged Push Bands and Team Builder. I don't know if you got Powerlift racks or not, but you'd hit every one of our sponsors. So I think
I did not design the weight room. It was built before I got here. I walked into a branch, so I didn't design any of it.
Well, that's awesome that you had a weight room that you can walk into. That's brand new. I tell you what, as far as Team Builder stuff goes, man, I think it's amazing what coaches are able to do with that. Today, Coach on Twitter was asking about what people are doing for just like readiness, right? And just like readiness surveys. And I've seen Team Builder has a great way to do just like a readiness survey right at the beginning, be able to get a great average of athletes and just like all the different ways, that people are utilizing that to make their life a little easier and be able to serve so many athletes at a high level. That's really cool stuff, Coach. And I'm happy that you're finding those resources and also the professional development resources is crazy. The amount of stuff that's out there, it's just really filtering it down and saying, okay, what is important for me in my situation? And so that's cool that you've got kind of the background to be able to sift through that and know what's good for you. Coach, we're coming to the kind of the namesake of the show. And a lot of coaches, when they listen to this, they start to think about, man, what would it be for me? How would I answer this question? And so the question is, Coach, how are you making the big time where you're at? What's it look like for somebody walking into your room and seeing the culture or whatever, or maybe it's a student athlete that gets to experience that, day in and day out?
I think we touched on a lot already. I've spent the last 3 or 4 years really trying to develop myself into just a good man. I love the old Marcus Aurelius quotes. I love all those things, and he's got one where he says, stop arguing about what a good man is and just be one. And so I love to read, and I think maybe it was when I was at EXOS, I was around just so many really good men. Just try to start developing wisdom and try to be ahead of my years as far as wisdom and just being a good man. So I think a lot of coaches spend a lot of time trying to develop their athletes, trying to look at the X's and O's and all these things. And I really just took a step back a few years ago at EXOS, where I guess, the X's and O's took care of themselves. So you had people pouring into you every day and just really started working on myself and how can I be a better Christian? How can I be a better man? And that's kind of poured into my kids. So all the character development stuff, man, is books that I've read, is tips that I've picked up, things I've stole from Garrett Keys and John Garish with the Iron Line Award, and things like that. So, again, talking about humility and integrity and friendship and teamwork and honesty and effort and faith and consistency and gratitude and toughness. We have 10 characteristics that we try to instill in the kids, and that's part of the Iron Line Award if you meet those criteria. And so for the first 10 weeks of every semester, I'll spend 10, 15 minutes every Wednesday talking about one of those characteristics, and we go in order, in that order. And I've done all kinds of different stories and I brought books in and read a whole section about humility or integrity, and I've done all kinds of different things. We had a chapel speaker come speak last year, and he's a chaplain for the New York Jets, and he's got this big thing about being all in, and he carries around basically like a little coin, and it's got like the New York Giants logo on it. It says all in on the back, and he tries to give it out to people who are going above and beyond. So I've made those with our logo on it. It says all in on the back. And I've had days where I've talked about integrity for 15 minutes straight and then say, you know what, I have 140 guys I train every day in weight training, 5 classes with, roughly 25, 30 kids in each one. There's one guy that stands out in my mind when I think of integrity, and it's this guy right here. I give him a coin, and everybody just loses. Like, oh, man, that's awesome. He's an incredible young man. And so, just going above and beyond the X's and O's, the strength and conditioning. There's so many ways to skin a cat. We all trap bar deadlift. We all squat. We all clean. We all bench. We all do vertical jump. We all do a lot of the same stuff. But I'm trying to go past that point and develop good men, especially with the culture and the world that we live in now. And I'm at a school where, I don't know how to say this, but I'm working with kids that have really, really bright futures. These kids are going to be the future doctors, the future lawyers, the future politicians. I'm not working with your average kid that's, it's very hard for him to go to college. I'm working with kids that are pretty much all going to college, are pretty much all going to have very good careers. And, there may be a kid in my weight room right now that's going to be the next president, or not the next president, but going to be president of the United States one day. There's a lot of kids in my room on a daily basis that are going to be pastors that may go out and save 200, 300, 400 people, for eternity. I may have the next Tim Tebow in my room. I may have the next, one of the next presidents of the United States. I literally have a kid that graduated last year that I think may be the president one day. Is an incredible kid. But, just trying to not impact sports, but impact the world. Because these kids I work with on a daily basis, that I'm very fortunate to work with these kind of kids, are going to be the future leaders. And if I can impact them in some way that makes them better leaders, better husbands, better fathers, then that's making a big time where I'm at to me.
I get to hear a lot of coaches and how they respond to that. And every time afterwards, I just feel pumped up, motivated, impacted, ready to roll. So that's awesome, Coach.
I listened to Coach McKenna's podcast with you earlier today, man. And I was getting goosebumps. And that one part where you were talking about making an impact, the one part where he said the guy walked up to him at his wedding, and said, "Thanks for being the father that I never had." And I was like, whoa, man, I almost, I got teary-eyed a little bit. That's an impact right there. That's what I want to see later on when I'm his age. I've been around for 22 years at one school. I want to see, those things.
No doubt. Just sitting down in my basement listening to him talk, it was one of those things. Right when he said that, I was like, oh gosh, chills, and it was awesome. So I love that stuff, Coach. Hey, we've got 5 quick questions at the end. Okay, are you ready to roll with these questions?
Oh yeah.
All right, here we go. So, what is your favorite book?
All right, I got a few for you, just like everybody does. They don't usually just tell you one. The Bible, obviously, a lot of great stories in there, a lot of things you can dig into. If you get you a good study Bible, it can actually help you relate it to life today. A really, really amazing book that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's still around today. But anything by Andy Andrews. Andy Andrews is a guy from Alabama, incredible author, incredible Christian man. He's got one called The Traveler's Gift that people have heard about a lot. He's got another one called The Noticer. That's incredible. Anything by Ryan Holiday. He's the guy who's all into the Stoic stuff, so he's got a lot of Marcus Aurelius quotes, a lot of Socrates, but he's got a book called The Daily Stoic. That's a daily reading every morning, kind of like Coach McKenna was talking about earlier, but it's based off of Stoicism, so it'll be a quote from Marcus Aurelius or Socrates, something like that, and then it kind of explains what the quote means. Incredible book that I 365 days, read it every single day for a year last year. And then he's got one called The Ego is the Enemy. He's got one called The Obstacle is the Way. All those are great books.
I'm trying to write all this stuff down, so I got it. So
Ryan
Holiday,
I love to read.
Andy Andrews and Ryan Holiday are the two though the authors for those.
Oh yeah, anything they write is gold.
Sweet. All right, I'm gonna start adding stuff to my wish list.
I got a really interesting one for you. I don't want to give too much time, but Ethan Hawke, the famous actor, has a book called The Rules of a Knight. That's incredible, that I reference a ton with my kids, because each rule is basically a characteristic like humility or integrity or honesty or consistency or whatever. And each one's like a 2 or 3 page chapter about that characteristic. And it's an incredible book, which is pretty random because he's a really famous actor, but incredible book that you can reference for your athletes.
That's awesome. I'm getting that one down too. Person that's influenced you the most, who is that? And that could be in your life, within training, whatever it is. Who's that person?
Oh man, I like everybody else. I can't name one. Justin Schwind, my first boss ever. I was an intern for 2 years for him. Just kind of set me on this whole path. Kent Morgan, head strength coach at the University of West Florida, incredible man, incredible coach. Still there today. I don't know how long he's been at the same university, but was there before football, is now there with football. I mean, just incredible guy. Anthony Hopgood at EXOS in Pensacola, Florida. Man, just one of those dudes. They don't make them like that anymore. You know, one of those backwoods Mississippi, hunt fish, tell stories all day. Played fullback at Ole Miss till he tore his ACL. I mean, just an incredible guy, incredible coach. Garrett Keith has been, you know, we met 2 years ago on the first ever national NHSICA cruise. Boats together at the Southeast Regional. A few months later, was on the cruise together last year, was at NatCon together in Indianapolis. We were at NatCon together this year. I was actually one of the people who nominated him for National Coach of the Year, and he got it, which was incredible, man, to see somebody like that, you know, get a pat on the back at that type of stage, because he's an incredible coach, incredible man. Man, it's just, and then, you know, like John McKenna said, Coach McKenna, my wife, man, we met in high school, and, you know, she's been with me through the thick and thin. Before I even, if you're a coach's wife and you knew you were going to be a coach's wife, is one thing. And you're a coach's wife and had no idea what you were getting yourself into, because she met a kid in high school that had no idea what he wanted to be. And then to stick through all those times, you know, as a coach's wife, not knowing you're going to be a coach's wife is tough. And so we've moved, you know, from Alabama to Pensacola, Florida, to San Antonio, Texas, down to Pensacola, Florida again, to West Palm Beach. And, man, just my rock. This huge supporter of me, and also has her own things going on. She also got her master's degree at West Florida. She works with kids with autism. So it's just a selfless person that cares about everybody else before herself.
That's awesome, Coach. You've already mentioned a little bit about quotes, but what's your favorite quote?
Oh, man, it probably has to be the strongest steel goes through the hottest fires.
I like that.
I think it's an old Chinese proverb or something, but that one sticks with me for some reason.
Sweet. How about your favorite hobby outside of training?
Oh man, I got a wife and 2 kids, so that's pretty much my life. 2-year-old boy just turned 2 in June. 7-year-old girl, she just started 2nd grade at the school that I'm at, so she started there in kindergarten and now in 2nd grade. It's pretty wild that many years has flown by that quickly. But I also I love to read. And now I love jiu-jitsu, so I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 a.m. I'm in that dojo doing some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so that's kind of a little bit of a hobby too.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. All right, how about small school coach who's killing it and deserves a shout out?
I listened to a few of your episodes, and I've heard Garrett Keith, who's incredible. I've heard John Garish. You know, we're 30 minutes from each other. He's down in Boca. I've heard Michael Kurtz. Everybody knows those guys, and so I want to think of somebody outside the box that's doing an incredible job that maybe nobody, you know, not many people have heard of. And one of my former interns at EXOS ended up being an incredible coach, and he is Tyler Wynn, and he's at Lumpkin County High School, and I think it's right outside Atlanta area. You know, looking at his Facebook posts, looking at his Instagram posts, and just talking to him every once in a while, and then getting him involved into the Iron Circle, the Bible study we have for strength coaches that we started a couple of years ago. Garrett Keith and Adam Atala started after the NatCon 2 years ago in Indianapolis, and just seeing him grow as a Christian man and seeing what he's doing over there in Georgia has been pretty cool, man. Especially, you know, one of your former interns turning into a coach like that is pretty cool. So Tyler Wynn.
That's awesome. Okay, I've got him down. And then, Coach, if somebody wants to reach out to you, if they want to learn more or talk to you about something, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I love Facebook. I'm on there. I've been on there since I was in high school. I have an Instagram. It's TKA Strength that the school already had before I got here, with a previous strength coach / football coach guy that was here. Twitter, email, jevans@tka.net. Shoot me an email, and I'll get right back to you as soon as I can. And then if we need to talk further, I'll shoot you my cell phone number.
Thank you for taking the time to just really dig into some of the things that you've learned and be able to share that with our listeners. And it's just always fun just to hear from people all over the nation, making the big time where they're at. So thank you for that, Coach.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. You have an awesome podcast. I've listened to a ton of them. It's been incredible. So thanks for this resource for all of us to be able to get better in just a short amount of time every day. If we want to hop on for 45 minutes, we can listen to a whole episode and definitely walk away with a couple of notes to the things that we can do better. So appreciate you.
Thank you.